Ready to supercharge your profits and revolutionize your business in just 2 days? Then you need to be at the Power Profit Workshop.
If you're struggling with profit margins, KPIs, or pricing strategies, then this workshop is designed just for you.
And leading the charge is none other than the virtual CFO herself, Deese. She brings the strategies, tools, and hands-on guidance to help you master KPI tracking, benchmark setting, and team accountability.
But this isn't just another sit and listen event. We're rolling up our sleeves and getting real work done so that you leave with actual tools and strategies that you can implement immediately. Plus, I'm bringing in other industry experts to help you crush your goals.
And because you're a loyal Freedom Blueprint podcast listener, you get a special discount.
You're going to use code FREEDOM at checkout to save on your registration.
Seats are limited, so don't wait. Go to powerprofitworkshop.com and grab your seat today.
Let's make more money faster. See you at the Power Profit Workshop. That's powerprofitworkshop.com to get registered.
Get ready to hear an incredible journey of resilience and relentless pursuit of success. Today, you'll discover how our guest transformed countless failures into huge wins that helped him build an empire in the home service industry. Stay tuned as we dive into practical insights on leadership, overcoming adversity, and achieving exponential growth. This episode is packed with powerful lessons you won't want to miss.
Running a home service business is hard. So how is it that some people make it look so easy? Well, we'll tell you. This is the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. It's always good to hear the wins that successful contractors have. But have you ever thought that the best advice would be to hear about the speed bumps they encountered, the mistakes they've made along the way? We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We want you to be successful and avoid the mistakes others have made. Let's get this party started. Welcome to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Now your host, Justin Deese.
I'm really excited about this episode because we have a very special guest coming and hanging out with us today. Tommy Mello, who is really going to get in here and he's going to share his incredible insight and really about his journey. And if you don't know Tommy, I'll give you kind of a quick little Cliff Note version of who he is and some things he's done. He is the CEO of A1 Garage Doors, which at the time of the recording is 20 states, 700 plus employees, and generates over $200 million. Tommy also hosts the Home Service Experts podcast, which is one of the top 100 shows on Apple's business category, which is incredible. He also wrote 2 really great books, and one is Home Service Millionaire, and the second is Elevate, Building a Business Where Everybody Wins. And the other thing is he hosts the Freedom Events, one of the biggest conferences in the home service industry. And really on the last one, I think he had 750 plus attendees. So here's the deal. Tommy is a big name in our space, and he's going to give us some time and share a little bit about his journey. So let's dive in. Welcome to Freedom Blueprint Podcast. And today I am getting to hang out with Tommy Mello, and we're going to dive a little bit into what that journey has been like. But before we jump in, Tommy, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. So one of the questions when I said, hey, Tommy's coming on the show, what are some questions? Here's the question that I wanted to start with. It's, what does it feel like to be an overnight success? Because, right, you just woke up and all this stuff was happening.
Yeah, it was overnight. I mean, the 2-decade success felt like overnight for sure. It came with a lot of trials and errors. I always walk into a big room, I say, I'm the biggest failure here. I mean, by far. I mean, you talk about failing. I've had people die. Several technicians have passed away, not on the job. I've had 5 trucks flip over. I've had a guy get in a gunfight, not on the job, thank God. Found everything from meth to coke to wasted on the job. If it could happen, it did happen, Murphy's Law. So, I started out, it was just me, another guy. I was the guy out running jobs with no training. So I had to learn everything, and I'd pay technicians to teach me, or I'd pay the manufacturer to teach me how to work on stuff. Didn't have a whole lot of money for tools. I mean, we were really winging it when we got started. I was working 2 other jobs. I wasn't super focused on garage doors. I wanted to just put my eggs into several baskets, see how it would go. I've had to close markets down, lots of markets. Recently, I closed 2 more down. Even though we're expanding, they didn't have the capacity or the population to get it to the size it needed to be. So really been focused. And I think that's most entrepreneurs' problem is it takes years for them to focus. I literally had a couple hundred people at this last small event, Vertical Track, and I said, how many of you guys plan on selling in the next 5 years? I think about 10% of the hands went up, and that's a huge mistake. Every hand should have went up in that room. And it doesn't mean you're selling 100% of the business. It doesn't mean that you're not going to do garage doors anymore. It doesn't mean that you're not going to do stuff with your life, but you're trying to build this one asset up so big that you could do more assets. You could hire, instead of bottom up, like we all have to start because we don't have any money, now we could hire top down. And the top one could build a team. And then I find a lot of people, like if they're like me, your calendar is slammed, but there's nothing important on there. You're a got-a-minute manager, and you're doing all the minimum wage work. So there's a lot of things I wish I could go back and tell myself. But I'm glad I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't have the metaphorical bruises and cuts and just, like, I needed that to happen. So I don't think I would have listened or comprehended some of the stuff I would have told my younger self. Some of the stuff I definitely could have used, whether it be books or mentors or who to hang out with or who not to trust. But for the most part, I think some of these things needed to happen for me to be where I'm at today.
Well, so there's 2 things that come to mind. The first thing is one of the worst things on the planet is a bored entrepreneur. And that's usually that usually gets us in trouble if there's idle time, because the trick is like you just said, there's that tactical work you do, and then there's that strategic work you're supposed to do. And for most of us that grew up in the trades, as far as just humping it, you don't know what the strategic looks like. It's all tactical, and it's all turning the wrench as fast as you can. So at what point did you get to where you were able to kind of take a step back a little bit and not focus so much on doing it?
So it started in 2007. 2010, I separated kind of the business from my partner, and I was able to get my mom and stepdad to move out. Now, they have no business experience, but I trusted them. And I think the key of business is to have people around you that you could trust. They don't need to be perfect, but you need to know they're doing the right thing when you're not looking. They're not stealing from you. They're not shaving the clock. They're not, they're consistent. They show up when they need to be. And that meant a lot to me. Just to have 2 bodies that were able and capable of handling things. I hated payroll. Bill took on payroll. I hated door quotes. Bill took on that. I hated the call center. I still took calls, but my mom was primarily taking calls. And then I spent a couple more years in the field, and then I ran kind of either training or on-call for the next 2 years. And then I got my right hand. And his name was Adam Cronenberg, or still is Adam Cronenberg. He's an amazing guy. And he was my integrator. And then I got to work more on the business. And I put myself in a position where I was the marketing guy. And that was amazing. And I was the visionary. And I became obsessed with the talent recruiting. So things were better. And then 2017, got on the service tight, met Al Levy, started a podcast, got pretty serious about realizing that I could hockey stick this business, that it was like, this is the big one. This was going to be potentially $1 billion business. It all kind of made sense in my mind that this is going to be, if I wanted to be, my last endeavor, which as an entrepreneur, that's never the case, but it would be financially enough to set generations up.
It's such a good story. Like, reading a couple of your books, checking out your podcast. Actually, last year I got to come check out your facility, which I want to say this, you're just a gracious dude. You know what I mean? I'm from Florida, so that's my surfer term. But you're just such a gracious guy to open your house up and just let people come in and check out the facility. I will tell you, I'm in and out of a whole lot of shops, and you have by far the most impressive one that I've ever seen. So how did that come about? Like, it's one thing to vision, man, I really want this amazing shop with all the cool things, but how did you get it to that point, to where it is right now?
Well, I'm like most people. The first shop was a house. The second shop was a little bit of a nicer house. The third shop was a rinky-dink shop in Mesa, in the ghetto. 13 suites. Mine was probably a 2,000 square foot, including the office space. Then I moved to Tempe Marketplace, a better one. I rented out as I grew more and more. And then I moved out to another place in Tempe, bigger, first training center. And then I moved here to Phoenix near the airport, and I bought the building. And then we ran out of parking and bought this other building. So when you get a few tries, you kind of get this vision of what it needs to be. And I visited a lot of really good shops. And I kind of ripped off and duplicated R&D, rip off and duplicate as much as I could, mostly from HVAC plumbing, because in the home service industry, I don't care what anybody says, whether it's pest control, roofing, flooring, solar, whatever, like air conditioning and plumbing are just so far advanced. That's what most CRMs are built for. That's a $180 billion market cap. There's more people with a private plane in those industries. So that's what I've emulated most of the business off of.
I would say that's worked out pretty well for you.
Well, if there's a $100 million shop, I've probably been there and spent a lot of time with the owner, the CMO, the CFO. I spent time with their VPs. I spent time with their trainers. I spent time in their warehouse. So I did the work, and I traveled, and I came in humbly, and I came in with a blank notebook, left with a full notebook, and implemented. And a lot of people could fill up a notebook, but most of them don't know where to start or what to do. And so I had tunnel vision of this training center next door, and I wrote down what I wanted. The architect looked at it, drew up the plans in CAD, and we built exactly what I wanted. And then all of my trainers and the different people added their own 2 cents, and it came out something special. But without Dan Antonelli and KickCharge, everything from the wall graphics to the way our vehicles are wrapped, to the way our Valpak, to the way our billboards, to just the company story, he really came in. He came in at $40 million of revenue. And it's crazy that I got to where I did without the right brand. And the brand brings it all together.
There's so much detail that you put into the facility and the truck too. I mean, the truck wrap's amazing, but I know even walking through your shop, having the door that came down that emulated the backyard was, I mean, it was impressive. Like you think about, because we talk about training and we talk about practice, and how do you hit a curveball, right? You got to swing at a curveball. And I think what you've created is an environment where they just get good. And there's no stone left unturned in that. I mean, you had tennis rackets in one of them. You had motorcycles. It was, I mean, you don't get much more authentic than that. Much more real world.
Yeah, Davidson. I mean, Harley, like millions of people got a Harley tattooed on their arm. It's something that they think is important. So when we talk about Harley, we talk about Sturgis. We talk about Mount Rushmore. Have you ever gone there? We talk about this is cool. And I think it's important. It's important to understand you need to like the person you're buying from, but it's more important that people like to be liked. And I think people miss this piece. They say you got to connect with the client. But more importantly, like, I want to be liked. I'm a human being. I want people to think my jokes are funny. I want them to think I'm interesting. So it's not as much as you need to like me when I'm in the garage. It's that you need to know that I respect and like you back. And your stories are interesting. And it takes a certain type of personality. That's why we usually go to somebody that's whether a busboy or somebody that's dealt with a lot of different personality types, because most of us hang out with people that are like us. If you're competitive, you're into sports, you watch sports with your buddies and you go play golf, whatever, or baseball or hockey. But when you learn how to get along with people that are different personalities, that's when you really start to win.
I think reading people is definitely one of those arts in sales that's missed. You know, people go in and technicians tend to be technicians and they tend to be technical. And I think the only way you break that habit is exactly what you've done, which is create an environment where they can actually go in and just practice and practice and practice. So since you've built that training facility and you've started to get, I mean, you're serious about training. What kind of impact has that made on your business?
Well, I always say I literally just talked to the 40 guys that just started today. They're in there, and I talked to them for about 45 minutes, and I said, when I played sports and football, we used to do 2-a-days. We practiced twice a day, 5 days a week, 10 trainings to play one game. And just like Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, Brad Pitt, Mel Gibson, they need to read their lines, and they need to do it very well. everybody says make it your own. You make the bonding part of with the client your own. But as far as the way our sales process, it's an 8-step process that works every single time in this industry. And, you know, our performance is just, it's ridiculously high. But I think without the brand, without the right marketing, without the right tools, I've thought about this all the time. I'm like, man, if I didn't meet Al Levy, if I didn't get on the service stand, if I didn't hire Adam when I did, if I didn't buy the building, it's kind of like a potion or a formula. Like they all got to go into it it's like a recipe. If you skip the baking soda, it just doesn't bake right. And so it's hard to put one thing on one ingredient. But without that ingredient, it just doesn't taste the same or it won't work right. So I've had a lot of things go right. And I always say I'm always at the right place at the right time because I treat people like I want to be treated. And I'm open to ideas, but I've kind of worked on my do not do list. And like now time has become so important for me. But I had to travel to all these shops. I had to jump on a plane. I had a network. I had to read all those books. I had to start the podcast. I mean, you can't say don't do that stuff because I wouldn't be here today. And people are always like, these last 17 years of doing garage doors, you take it all away. You take all the money, you take the training center, you take it all away. I'd be back here in 3 years because it's not what the company had to become. It's who I needed to become. It's how I needed to learn, how I needed to teach myself how to learn. And if you just left me in today's body and today's brain and gave me nothing, I could get back here very quickly. I see a lot of billionaires where, at one point, Trump was a multi-billionaire. It went down to owing $100 million. And what's nice is you got these lessons in life. And that's why I think experience kind of trumps everything. And it really does in the long term.
Well, and to your point, too, it's kind of like the lottery where, people win the lottery and they go broke in 2 years, or you have people that are very wealthy and very successful. They lose it for whatever reason. And it, like you said, it takes 3 years. They're right back in the spot again.
We take calculated risks. We do. And I've taken a lot of them again. And that's how you get exponential growth because they're calculated. It's not like I know when to double down on blackjack. That's the best odds. But when I play the odds, Jeff Bezos said in business, when you hit a home run, if it's bases loaded, you could get 4 RBIs, right? But in baseball, unlike baseball in business, you can get 1,000 runs. So you just got to be willing to bet on yourself. And most people are way too conservative. They like to go slow. Some people like to go too fast. I'd say I'm one of those fast guys. I'm one of the very few, but I'm willing to put it on the line. And if I double down, it's much more than a 50% chance of winning.
Yeah, I agree. And so let me ask you this let's shift over to leadership a little bit. So I heard a story about you bought an apartment complex for your training crews. So when you have training for new technicians, you bring them all to your location from all over the country, right?
Yeah, they're 1 month in market and then they come here for a month.
Okay, and you put them up in your apartment that you bought. And now somewhere the story goes that you lived there for a while.
4 years.
I've owned quite a few home service companies. I think about sacrifice that you have to make in order to succeed. I think about the things that you have to put into it to win. And then I think about would I live next door to most of my team, and I don't know that I would be willing to make that sacrifice. So how did that even come about? I mean, you're like, I just want to hang out with these guys.
Well, I had a beautiful house, and I still have the house in Scottsdale. I bought that house in 2012, remodeled it, added on to it, made it everything. And then I moved in with a girlfriend. I paid everything because we were getting great rent money. And, I was just like, I'm making so much money on my house. I don't need that big house. So I made one of the apartments kind of extra special. I put a fireplace and I put the big screen TV. At that time, it was a 70-inch. And then I put a bigger kitchen and I put an island and I put in a couple sunlights and I put in a little bit nicer shower, knowing that I was going to live there more than 30 days. I put a real washer and dryer in where all these other ones have a laundry room. And so I had planned on it, but it was supposed to be short term. And then every night the technicians would come home from a ride along. We'd have a fire if it was winter. I'd have them in there. We'd have beer or whatever. We'd play darts. And I just loved whiteboarding with these guys. What did you like? What didn't you like? What could we do better next time? And one day, one of my top guys walks in, and he was living there because he needed a place, and he was broke, even though he sold while he didn't know how to save. And I said, why don't you move into these apartments? It would be great to have you around for guys to see that it's possible. And so he comes in, he knocks the door. He's got a six-pack. Not drinking right now, but he's got a six-pack of beer. And he says, can I just kick it with you for a minute? And I said, yeah, come on in. So we're talking, and he goes, I just feel like the dispatchers are assholes. He's like, they don't like me. They know how much money I make. And I go, and the story went a lot longer than this, but I don't know why, but I had a bunch of gift cards. And I said, here's two $50 gift cards. I said, Brandon, I want you to walk in tomorrow. And I want you to walk into the dispatch manager and the dispatcher that doesn't like you the most. And just say, hey, I thought about you guys. You know how hard you work. I know how difficult I could be. I want to be more of a team player. I know you guys are working hard. Buy coffee for the team. And he comes back that night and he goes, dude, he goes, wow. The next day he brought everybody bagels. The next day he brought everybody Dunkin' Donuts. And he did this for like 2 weeks. And I didn't even ask him to keep buying stuff. But it changed the perception. Those little things that I got to actually be there to see the outcome. He'd come over and he'd tell me the stories, and guys would tell me the stories about what they loved about this ride-along tech or what they loved about this customer, what they didn't like, what they hated about the vans, what they loved about the vans. And just all these ideas were sparking. So I think it was intricate to do that. And at that point, when I lived in the apartments, I drove a 2012 Nissan Titan with a salvage title. Had 178,000 miles on it. And everybody would ask me, you could buy a brand new truck. Like, you've got plenty of money. And I'm like, well, until every single technician and installer has a new truck, I'm going to continue to drive this. And trust me, I had a brand new Titan the day my last guy had a new truck. So I think
your team, I mean, they're all looking at what you're doing and you're not doing and what you're saying and you're not saying. And just by being there, there's so many wins you had, but at the same time, your team's watching. You know?
Yeah, they do. They that's what I say to most owners. You know, people walk through here, especially the new guys. They're like, dude, you're here every day. You're even here on the weekends. They're like, we were at a $4 million shop before this, or we worked for this other company. We never even seen the owner but twice a month. You're here every day. You're walking through the parking lots. You're here getting coffee. You're here, you know, in the gym. Like, we can find you in your office. And I'm like, you know, a lot of people just want this lifestyle business. They're just willing to do enough to keep up with their lifestyle. I want to build a legacy. I want to go as far as I could go. I want to see, you know, did Tiger Woods quit golfing after his fourth major in a row, winning? No, he loves golf. He connects with the ball, whether it's a putt, a chip, a drive, 1,000 times a day. And so my mom said, when's enough? I said, Mom, this isn't even work. I love what I do. I basically, anything I don't like doing, I delegate it out. So now my life is I come in Mondays. It's like, I just go do what I love to do. It's fun. And that's why I come in on weekends sometimes, because I really do. It really motivates my brain in the right way. It's my passion. It's just, I built a job that I love, and it doesn't feel like work.
And I think that's one of the secrets to success. I mean, if you hated what you did, obviously you're not going to get the growth that you're getting now. You're not going to get the momentum that you're getting. And the other cool thing is that not only are you grinding it out and growing your business, you're now helping a lot of other business owners grow theirs.
Yeah, and that's really important to me because number one is I treat people how I'd want to be treated. Number two, people were kind enough to pay it forward for me when I was just a small garage door guy, and they let me into their big HVAC shop and just teach me. And I always just act really interested and just wrote a lot of notes and really respectful and humble. And then, I don't know, man, it's like the doors are just opening everywhere because the more you help people, Zig Ziglar said, you can have anything you want in life if you help enough people get what they want. And I believe that. I live by that. And I'm going to church every Sunday. I'm working out. I mean, I'm at 14,000 steps so far today. I'll finish at 23,000. I got to work out later. I'm really close with Bree, and we're going to get married.
Congratulations.
I could hear my guys screaming A1 from day one next door. 40 guys is pretty loud. It's like things are just starting to click. My brain's working on like this crazy mode right now, but it's super focus. It's weird because I'm able to figure out things I haven't been able to figure out, but I'm actually sitting here calm. I'm not all hocked up on Red Bull or Monster or Celsius. I do think coffee's good, and I enjoy coffee. I enjoy coffee because it does give you a little bit of energy, but I enjoy it more because it's an appetite suppressant. And I'm really trying to get down to 10% before our thing coming up in, the Freedom event in September. So, but it takes so much of reinvesting into your business. If you looked at your business instead of your life, and you looked at it as an asset that you're trying to groom and you're trying to sell, there's a great book by John Warlow called Built to Sell. And so many people are like, yeah, in 15 years, you mean after your kids finish high school? Because wouldn't they rather have dad now? And some people think their kids want their business. No, they don't. They'd rather have financial freedom to go build their own lives.
Right.
And it's always we want to leave you our legacy, but we're going to make you pay us $10 million over the next 10 years. So you're never going to get ahead either. So by the time you have kids, you're going to have no money because you're paying for us out of the business that I could have sold and I could have lived off. Here's the biggest mistake, Justin. People forget what they sell for. They forget the millions they take off the table. So if I took $4 million and I just made 12%, that's $480,000 a year without touching principal. Without touching principal. And so many people, but they're not financially stable enough to not go buy out the ski-doos and the boats and the this and the that. A lot of people just need to learn how to invest their money. And that's not what we're here for. But if people really understood, once you get the money, I had a buddy call me up. He goes, hey, there's this company at $12 million EBITDA. They're kind of in a pinch. One guy owns 25%. We could get 25% for $5 million. There's a company coming to buy them for $90 million. He goes, it would be roughly $23 million, give or take, is what it came out to be. And I'm like, we're looking through this. This was just Friday. So I put up the $5 million, take it off the 23. There's 18. I give them each, there's two guys, I give them each 6. I take 6 for 90 days from now. When you have money, money finds you. Great opportunities find you. People know you have money. I've seen people go, look, I don't like my house. It's worth $300. Just give me 2 because I need to get out of here. Like, it's crazy. And everybody's like, well, I'm just going to keep working and working weekends and working holidays. And I'm never going to be present with my kids, even though I'm there, even though I'm going to their baseball games. I'm never really there. Most people never really learn to live in the present. So they think, I'm just going to work this business till I'm 30 years from now till it's worth a lot. By the time you're 60, you'll have a good business. Maybe. Not in this day and age, I don't think. So my whole goal for the people listening is figure out a plan to put your time, energy, and focus onto this business to give you enough money to live off of the interest of the money you will get. You sign a non-compete for that area. It doesn't mean you can't go into another market. Doesn't mean you can't go to another industry. Doesn't mean you have to retire. But when you don't put a limit, like if I didn't say by September 25th I'd be at 10%, I could say, hey, listen, Justin, by September 2033, I'll try to get to 10. Like, have deadlines, have big goals, and reverse engineer how to get there. Like, I can't stand the people that have these stretched out, well, I'll start after my wedding, or I'll start after, we've got Halloween coming up and after that Super Bowl party. And, I just want to see what happens with this election. It's like, dude, you're never going to get started. You just don't even have a plan. You don't have a goal. You don't have a deadline. They call them SMART goals: specific, meaningful, attainable, realistic, and on a timeline. Like if you could set really good SMART goals, you're going to be winning. And cut your deadline in half.
I think most people that are successful, they do use the SMART goals and they use vision boards. And it is pretty amazing what happens when you put things out in the world and you say, okay, world, here's what I want, here's what I deserve, and I'm going to go after it and I'm going to go get it. It's pretty incredible what happens sometimes. A lot of times, even if you miss a goal, You get pretty stinking close.
Hey, shoot for the stars. If you land on the moon, you're still doing good. I set some big freaking goals, man. And people think I'm freaking nuts, but they've always said I'm nuts. There's two sides where motivation comes from. One of them comes from the side of, and it's okay. It's a good spot to come from. They always said I'd never amount to anything. My teachers, my parents, my grandparents said I was useless, whatever it is, or I'll show my friends. It always starts out from this place of I'm going to show everybody. And I'm going to prove myself. And then it goes to a place of more of a humble place of man, if I could, I should. I'm in a good spot. And I still got gas in the tank. It kind of moves over. But I think we look at a guy like Andy Elliott. He's definitely still I'm going to screw, you. I'd hate to be my enemy. And I love Andy. But it's my place is such a different place. My place is how many millionaires could we create? And how many great memories could I create? And the reason I bought this beautiful house in Paradise Valley is because I had my dad's 70th birthday there and all of his family. Then I had my mom's. Then I had Bree's niece that's 3 years old. Her name's Hayden. And the memories, I think I could create hundreds and hundreds of memories per year that are timeless. And the stories and just the good times. And that's what that was about. Because I lived in that 1,200 square foot. That 1,200 is being very nice. It was probably 1,000 square feet. And the only thing I hated is it was hard to entertain people. It was hard to create memories there because it was just crowded. If you had 15 people over, you were on top of each other. I mean, I still have the apartment. All my furniture is still in there that I me and Bree always joked around, what if we went back and stayed there for 3 months? That would be kind of cool. I don't mind. I don't need nice things. That's what's really nice is you don't mess with people that don't care. Any of my competitors out there, and I don't look at them as competitors, I really don't, but I'd be really scared of a guy that's not afraid to lose everything because I've been there and I've came up with nothing and no one ever gave me anything. So, you don't really like to mess with a person that's fearless.
So one of the things that you just mentioned that I hope the listeners picked up on, the idea of being on an airplane, right? And when you're on an airplane and something happens, they say, put on your mask before you help other people. And I think everything that you just talked about, you were talking about your physical fitness, your spiritual fitness, your home life, getting all that stuff grounded and centered, how much that's helped you in your business. And I think a lot of times as entrepreneurs, especially in the home service industry, we tend to not focus on those things. We tend to focus on putting out the fires and going after whatever the next big thing is versus kind of being centered. So that was good to hear you talk about that.
We just hired, and I say this in the humblest way. I've got a full-time driver. We've got a full-time chef. I got a full-time house manager. We've got 2 maids. And these are new things to me, so I don't really know exactly how to manage them, but we've just got the vibe boards instead of whiteboards everywhere. And what I've realized now is I've put myself in a position to be accountable. And I got rid of, now that everything's organized, I've never slept so freaking good. I've never gone on such long walks. I've never I'm man, I thought I was on fire when I was drinking all the time and things went well. I'm man, if I could do this much with such a cluttered head and a cluttered house and shit everywhere, I feel what does success look like? And it's changed a lot, but it means, first of all, my inner circle, my mom and dad and my sister, right? And I got a lot of friends. I just want to see them come up. And I'm not the type of person that likes to give people money, although I will. I like to invest into their dreams and really help them game plan and build a vision and help them and hold them accountable and help them create the discipline to get there. Because, man, let's just pretend me and you, Justin, I was dude, I'm going to buy you a trip. You could come with me. And then you're sure, I'll come. And then I'm hey, here's $300 spending money. Come see me if you spend it all. It's no, I'll invest into your dream. Yeah, and then you'll feel like a freaking man or a grown woman that actually, there's nothing that could make somebody feel I made it. Yeah, Tommy gave me a few pointers, and he helped me out to get started. I repaid him. And by the way, if I do this with certain people, and I've done it with several already, it doesn't come with a repay. It doesn't come like, oh, these are the terms. It comes with just promising you're going to give me everything. And if I could get people to do that, I mean, I love my mom and dad, but they're in their 70s, so I don't really need to do, hey, I'm going to help you guys start a business. I don't do that with them. But like my sister, I'm like, sure, let's flip some houses together. You guys manage it. I'll put up the money. You'll take half. And it's a great way. And my brother-in-law just started working with me at Tommy Mello Ventures, which is the family office, about 6 months ago. He's a freaking genius. And, I want to see them win big. And that's what's important to me is the more people I can see win big around me. I want my funeral to be like, don't wear black, make it outside, and just celebrate and know I'm in a better place. It's not going to be depressing. And I know there's going to be people that are sad because I'm sad when people pass away. But I just hope there's like this joy of like he did more. He wasn't conceited. He was humble. He never changed. Money just created a bigger personality to do more. It never got to his head. And now I'm getting an hour and a half back in the car a day. I mean, the guys I have working around me, like my pre-workout's right there. Like it's kind of hard to mess up. And that's what I need. I need accountability. And you might be motivated, but discipline will outlive your motivation.
Mm-hmm.
The hard choices, and if you do, and you hear people say this, but do something really hard every day. Like use that discipline muscle whenever you could of doing hard things. And if you could use it, and sometimes keep doing the cold plunge, but when it gets easy, find something else hard to do. Like do something hard. And when you get comfortable doing something hard, your body's just trained to handle hard obstacles. Because they're going to come from every which angle, but they can become easier when you're used to doing hard things.
Tommy, teaching a man to fish. I like it. That's definitely the way to get them. Well, and you're given such a gift when you do that. You really are doing someone a disservice when you just give them whatever it is. And so I wanted to share this with you if I can. So one of my favorite Bible verses is iron sharpens iron, so another sharpens another. Everything you said just falls into that because it is, right? Iron sharpens iron. Tell us a little bit about the coming up.
Freedom Event, freedomevent.com. And some of the people are going to be there. I've got Ellen Rohr. She's absolutely phenomenal.
She's awesome.
I've got Jocko. Jocko, you're going to learn all about discipline. And, that guy was responsible for sending people, and he was making the decision whether you're going to live or die. I've got Keith Mercurio. What a badass. That dude is just so good. He was really big in Nexstar. He's at Service Titan. He's just a mentor, a coach. He's just phenomenal every time I've had him. Steve Sims wrote the book Blue Fishing. The dude is the GOAT. Like if you wanted to go somewhere and do something that no one else could get access to, Steve will tell you how to do it. I've got Sebastian from Rilla Voice to talk about AI. I've got my buddy Ryan Finn is talking about automations, and it's not just chirp. That's what he does, but he's so freaking funny. And this event, we're going to be talking a lot more about, like, I always love, like, the motivational things and the mindset. I also love the tactical and, growth, profitability, freedom. Those are great things, and we're going to talk about that to build a business that's an asset. But I also want to talk, and I'm going to give so many people the things, the morning mojo calls to get your fleet managed correctly. Like, I mean, I'll tell you this. If you come to this event, and there's a lot of events going on, if you're not blown away about your mental health, about eating the right foods, about feeling like you have energy when you get home from work, about getting your sleep, about doing the right things for the people in your company and helping everybody win, and about just these little habits that we've kind of worked on. If you're not completely blown away, I promise you, I'll just give you your money back. I don't want your money. These type of events, they're very, very expensive. I mean, we're probably going to spend, I looked at the budget last week. It's a little under $1 million. So it's going to be September 25th through the 27th in San Diego. And I will be at 10% body fat. And I'm just saying that because I gave myself a really tough goal. And I want to prove that anything I put my mind to, I could do. I'm just a dude from Detroit, grew up, I wouldn't say poor, but definitely blue collar and lower income. And, what separates me is the fact that I actually do stuff. I set my mind to it and I get it done. Very few people that I've seen have the discipline to say no. People are like, how's not drinking? I'm like, it's easy. How's eating good? Now, that's harder than not drinking, but it's easy. How's drinking enough water? That's a pain in the ass to get a gallon of water a day, but it's kind of easy. How's walking 10 miles? That's a pain in the ass, but once you get used to it, it's easy. It's like none of this stuff is rocket science. People are always like, what's the shortcut? Well, it takes hard work. It does take some discipline. It takes some accountability and consistency. But overall, I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to get any harder. I think it's who, not how. I've kind of got a cheat code of getting the best of the best. And what I'll tell you is, I'll give you a quick story. Doing this crazy badass landscaping at the house. Lazy river, palm trees, fountains, 7 fire features in the backyard. It's going to be nutty. It's going to be like my own island. It's like your own oasis. And I'm talking to the guy, and the owner goes, listen, I want to work on your house. He goes, we're going to make this thing like I'm the guy. And the name of the company is called Foxterra. So I got recommended to him by 6 people. So me and Bree are talking to him, and she goes, I'm going to go check out his work. So she goes on to Pinterest, and she goes, oh, my God. Everything is Foxterra on Pinterest. And so I go, who's your Foxterra company that does this for you? And he gives me the gal's cell phone number. I call her. She's getting him off of Pinterest 22,000 unique website visitors from Pinterest a month. So I hired her on the spot because
that's fantastic.
There's all these things all around us. Like, you don't know the best employee is that busboy standing right next to you serving you guys or filling up your waters. Like, I look at everything. I learn about software. I learn about hotels. I learn about flipping. I learn about, crypto. And there's all these clues all over the place. But most people, they're oblivious to these things. They're not awake. They're not present. They don't see it for what I see it. And even if I come across something, someone will call me up. They'll be like, dude, I live in Pittsburgh and I need, I'm trying to figure this out. Like, I'll just think of them and I'll be like, listen, I just met a guy from Pittsburgh. That sounds amazing. You need to meet this person. And I think I'm just more open. And I like think about stuff. Like when I scan a QR code, I'm like, where's it going to bring me? And what's the funnel look like? Or I'll buy books in a funnel and I'll look at their upsell for the course. And I'm like, oh, we could use this for this. And it's just being like really cognizant of what's out there. And I'm always testing. I love just looking for answers, even though, like, I'm at church. And like some of the message, I'll be like, wow, I need to use this. And this will bring a lot of people closer if you believe in Jesus Christ. Because I never want to convince somebody to believe. I want to show them. I want to walk. When I have kids, and I will have kids, I'm not going to read a lot of books and go up to random people and ask them how to raise their kids. I'm going to go up to maybe a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old that are sitting in their chairs, and they're quiet, and they're respectful, and they go, yes, sir. And they're excited about life, and they run up to dad and give him a big hug, and they're nice to pets. And I'm going to ask that father and that mother what they did. When did they spank their kids? How long did they spank their kids? Did they spank their kids? What works? How much phone time did they get? Because success leaves clues. And a lot of times we're asking the wrong people. People walk in a room and a guy will be like, yeah, man, I did 20 million. You should listen to me. But you don't know that person's broke. Mm-hmm. Revenues for vanity, profits for sanity. And I've always tried to figure out, it's visible. Who's at the top of Google? Who's at the top of Nextdoor? Who's winning at Yelp? All you need to do is reach out. Most people don't have the courage. Like most guys at the bar. They're too afraid to ask the girl out. So, my dad told me this story. I'll never forget. I had to be 7 years old. And he goes, Tommy, you want to see a picture of the guy that pulled every girl? I'm like, yeah. He shows me. I'm like, Dad, you're like, I never rated my dad 10 out of 10, but my dad's a good looking guy. And I'm like, how did that guy? And he's like, he taught me this when I was young. For every 20 no's, there's a yes. And what I learned, he got 20 no's, but he got a yes. I only got 3 no's before I got a yes. And he's like, just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask. ASK. And that's my favorite 3 letters, ASK, just ask. But my mom or my dad and my grandfather were 2 gentlemen that used to they didn't mind. We were going down the wrong way. They wouldn't ask for help. They wouldn't ask for direct. They'd ask girls out, like my dad. But, they were manly men. They said, no, we're going to figure this out. Me, I'm like, nope, I don't know about it. I'm going to go find 3 people that know more than me. And I've got a lot of trusted advisors. And if they don't know, they know who will know. And I'm good at doing research. And I think too many people try to go about and reinvent the wheel and do it all on their own. You don't think ServiceTitan will give me data if I say who's got the best call center booking rate in all of ServiceTitan? They'd call them up and they'd ask that individual or that company, I got Tommy Mello that wants to come out and meet you guys. Would you consider that? Yeah, no problem. Boom, they introduce us. They show us their stuff. Boom, there's a lesson. Hey, this person's doing the most mailings. And they could look at all this data and they could say, this person does 7% of all their leads come through mailing. That person might be good at doing mailings and analyzing data. Boom. You want to know who's got the best product mix in your vendors and why? Oh, we'd love it if you had a better product mix. Yeah, go talk. No one's ever asked us that question. Like, we all think we got to come up with this stuff on our own, but I could spend a week come up with 20 answers by just making a few phone calls.
Well, and I think a lot of your success too has been that you've been okay with asking and asking why and being okay with it. And because you came through that path, I think that's really been a big turning point for you. And you're still willing to, since you came that path, you're now willing to help other people do it. So let me ask you this. I know you're busy. I know you got a whole training facility over there hollering out the A1 since day one, which is awesome. I'm going to ask you this last question here. I'm going to throw a curveball since we were talking about curveballs earlier. What is one piece of advice that you would give yourself 10, 15 years ago that you would absolutely say, Tommy, you got to listen to this one thing? Because you get advice, but until you're at a pain point, a lot of times you don't really tip that scale. So what is something that you'd go, Tommy, it's non-negotiable. You got to do this one thing, man.
There's a couple of things. Number one is I used to be very stingy on hiring C-suite, and I didn't realize I'd want to hire somebody that's been where I want to go. I didn't really think I couldn't afford it, and I didn't understand how equity incentive programs work. So I would say, man, your dream team, the leadership, they could change a company. I think I was very late in the game to get the right CFO. I think every company I go to, they're like, yeah, I got a good bookkeeper. I'm like, your financials in a wreck. You don't reconcile your numbers till the 20th of the month if you're lucky. Some people haven't reconciled. They're on cash accounting versus accrual. They don't have a delayed draw term loan in place. Like a CFO, they don't negotiate with their vendors. They don't get rebates. They don't understand credit card terms. They don't know like CFO, I think is so important. Another thing that I would talk to myself, and these are new products, but Chirp is the best automation tool. Rilla Voice for AI. It's an investment, but it's doubled our sales numbers. Power BI for analytics. There's nothing else like it. The Pin Parrot that I've been using, my buddy Kellen, it's only 3 months old. It's PENPARROT. Pin, PIN, parrot.com. If you Google it, it won't even come up. But he's working with like 100 clients, and they're getting 5 times the calls on their Google My Business pages. Like, you know what's cool is Kellen called me up and he goes, hey, dude, I figured out some stuff on Google that they like. I'll charge you $500 per location because I love your business, and I'll give you the 6th one free. Can you just try it out? I go, sure. I'll pay for the next 3 months. Here's $7,500. My VP of marketing says 6 weeks later, he goes, dude, what in the F is going on? He goes, these 6 markets. And I said, oh, yeah, I did something with my buddy. And he called, and he's obsessed. So we onboarded all 80 locations. And then Rilla Voice, and then Chirp. It's like these technologies, they're kind of the unfair advantage. I always say we're a technology company that does garage doors. And then the Power BI stuff, and then ServiceTitan and Dispatch Pro. And some of the cool AI stuff they're building in, and AI is a buzzword, but they're building some cool stuff into their call center software they're coming out with. And I'm like, man, like unfortunately 15 years ago, technology isn't where it is. But if today I was starting and I was 23 years old, I would say, dude, you better know what the technology is winning. And you better not look at it as a cost. You better look at it as an investment. So hire right and invest a lot into the right people. But you could get burned. You get somebody at $300,000 a year that wants to hire 3 people, that wants 2 assistants, and they shit the bed. And I think a lot of people need help because you're not hiring. You're not putting an ad on Craigslist or Indeed or Glassdoor. You're recruiting the ace. They've already got a job. I always used to think you got to hire the right person. No, you need to recruit the C-suite and VP and director level, and then invest in technology. You do those 2 things, hire the leadership team and recruit them, and you invest in technology correctly, you're going to dominate the game. And know your numbers, and that's Power BI, and that's Intact, and that's, your CRM. So, I mean, the numbers, I invest in businesses. And I'm like, let's see where we're at today. Just show me all your KPIs, your dashboards. Show me what you go through each month. They don't have anything. They don't even know what's in their bank account. And I'm like, man, it's going to take 6 months just to get your business to a point where I can even help. And people want me, they think Tommy Mello is going to come save the day. And I have a few quick wins. And some of it is like your average ticket sucks. Let's train your sales guys more. Your marketing's not where it should be. Let's look at your PPC. You're organic. You haven't built any backlinks. We got to do some 301 redirect to build that up. We'll buy a few sites, point it to yours. That'll help a lot. But they really don't know where they're at. They don't know their known financial position. I know that's a long answer, but I think knowing your numbers, hiring right, and investing in technology, I have to give it 3.
No, I like it. And I mean, knowing your numbers, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of companies out there that run it off their bank account. And I'm very fortunate because my wife is a CFO. And so I've always been fortunate enough where I could just go focus on driving, and I was able to always know where the money was and trust that it was being allocated correctly, which is awesome.
That brings me up. Alan Rohr wrote a really good book. It's super simple. It's called Where Did the Money Go? It's a simple little book. And I remember when my CPA used to call me and be like, dude, you owe $500,000. I'm like, I don't even have $500,000 in the account. I think you did the taxes wrong. I'm like, what? And I'd go, where did the money go? What? And now we're like looking at like these little things that added up to be these big things. And the bigger I get, these littler things matter. And it's so much fun. It's so much fun when I find money because most people are like, dude, I got something really bad to tell you. I'm like, what? They're like, we've been paying out rent on a lease that we got rid of 2 months ago. We're paying the cable bill or whatever. I'm like, good. I'm like, so we just found $200 a month or $2,000. I'm like, so next month that's money we've recouped. They're like, why are you excited? I'm like, because we're still at 24% bottom line. So now we're going to be at 24.3%. And then we're going to get to 27. And then we're going to raise revenue and double revenue. And then we're going to get to 31%. People are like, that's not possible. And now everybody's like, how do I get into the garage door business? You could throw me in the door-to-door vacuum business. You could throw me in landscaping, and you could throw me in roofing, gutters. You could throw me in door-to-door, whatever. I don't care what it is. Like, it's not because I'm in the garage door business. If it was, there'd be a number 2. You know how there's all these HVAC companies, there's like 25 companies I could tell you that are doing over 100 million, all great companies. Who's the number 2 in garage doors? There is nobody. So if it was garage doors, there would be a lot of people making a lot of money. And I'm not being conceited. If anything, I'm bragging on my team.
Well, I mean, I think that there's some pretty cool stuff that you've done for the garage door industry. And really, when I first met you, I didn't even realize that was a legitimate, I just thought that was a handyman thing. And then to see how you've revolutionized this whole thing and systematized it and grown it and make it into this whole thing, like you're educating the consumer, which is one of the hardest things to do. You're educating the consumer on why they need to do business with you. And I think I think it's so badass. I really do.
Well, there was a strategy for anybody that's not in a big industry. People used to attack us all over social media. Like, if we came up, there was 1,000 comments in those little where all the employees go. the technicians, the one-man shops, and they go just bash other people because they're making 120 grand a year, working 7 days a week, and they don't own a real business. They own a job, and they just attack the guy that makes money. There's like all this envy and jealousy, and all they do is say, "I don't even have wrap trucks, and I'm busy." Yeah, but you don't make a profit. Like you don't pay people more than $50,000 a year. You don't. They got to drive their own truck. You don't offer good parts. Half the guys are on drugs or have bad background checks. You don't even have an office, and they brag about it. And they think they figured it out. I'm making 300 grand a year, but your business is making zero. And what I had to do was invite all these companies in and show them that I'm not a bad guy. I've got an option that's cheaper than them. And I've got 4 options that are more. But the warranty changes, the parts quality changes, the craftsmanship changes. So when they started to understand that I wasn't this predator in the industry, and that I actually try to take care of my internal clients, which are my employees and my coworkers, I think what they started to do is they started to get it as 10 companies, then 100 companies, then 500 companies started to realize what we were doing. We had to change the perception of the industry. It's not only clients, but I had to change an industry. And people, I remember a lot of my guys, quite a few of them are still here. They said, "You're the craziest dude we've ever met. You're inviting all of our competitors to come here and showing them everything we do." And I said, "I got a plan. Either it's going to backfire big time or we're going to be very successful." And it worked out for the best. So my plan for most of these small industries would be, share what you're doing. You're stronger together. HVAC Spells Wealth is a very, very old book by Ron Smith. He passed away about a year ago. And he used to meet with all the different HVAC companies in Southern Florida in the 60s. And he's the godfather of home service. I highly recommend that book.
It's fantastic.
And, yeah. And, I had him on the podcast. I've listened to his CDs. He doesn't have an Audible. It's CDs. Someone's got to take it and put it on Audible. But, yeah, I love doing podcasts. I love telling stories. I just love it when someone calls me, they heard a podcast. They're like, "Dude, that clicked 6 months ago, and I lost 30 pounds. Me and my wife, we were getting ready to go through a divorce. We worked it out. I spent a quality time with my kids. The employees are making more money than they ever did, and I actually took my first vacation since I started the business." You can't put a price tag on that. And if I could help somebody get to that point, I don't want anything back. All I'd like is just a phone call because it makes me smile. And I like to know we're doing good in this.
And for anybody listening, all the things that Tommy just mentioned as far as taking care of your team doesn't happen when you charge squat. You have to charge appropriately in order to have the things to give the insurance, to give the benefits, to give top pay, to protect these guys, to give them the good vehicles. You have to do those things. So if you think that you can run around town and be the cheapest dude in town, you're not going to make it.
Well, there's this fallacy, and I know we keep prolonging this, but there's a fallacy that not in my town. You don't understand my market. You don't understand the competition. And I'll tell you the story. I bought Bria a 1967 Firebird, and she demanded that she got to pick the shop that we took it to, even though I should have handled this. And I said, "Fine, bring it to the shop. We'll see what they say." And the guy's like, "I'm halfway into this thing, man. You're going to have to switch from drum brakes to disc brakes." I go, "Yeah, that's cool." And he goes, "Yeah, there's a problem with the muffler. I want to replace the radiator." He said, "The battery's dead. I got to replace it." And I said, "What are we talking here? 8, 10 grand? Get it all perfectly back to normal?" And he's like, "Probably 20. I said, "Do you have the line item quote?" He goes, I don't have that." I go, "Who could I talk to there tomorrow?" He goes, "Well, the guy that did the analysis is retiring tomorrow." I said, "When are you going to be?" And he says, "I'm gone for 2 weeks." So I sent my dad there that day. And my dad said, "I replaced that battery 3 months ago." They took the battery, put a charge on it, it charged right up. And I'm like, so not only did you have a guy retire that did the analysis, not only did you not be able to give me a line item quote, not only did you lie to me about the battery, but you're gone for the next 2 weeks. So if you're going to raise your prices, make sure you raise your service, the moral of the story. Make sure you come through the right way, because if you just raise your price and you still got shenanigans going on and the guy's showing up on a gummy or just took a hit of his pipe and he looks a mess, his hair's a mess, and he smells like shit, and your trucks, the mufflers are falling off. Don't raise your price unless you're going to raise your service and get out there the same day and have the best insurance and have the best product, the best warranty. Because I do say raise your price, but when you give that kind of service, you can't charge the most. Or not even charge even in the upper 50 percentile.
Fantastic. Tommy, man, it is good to hang out with you. Any last minute thoughts for the audience?
Well, if you guys, we've got the home service expert page on Facebook, 0 cost. I comment a lot in there. If you just got a question, just post it. There's a lot of good groups out there. If you like goofy, fun stuff, I put a lot of stuff on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, or X, and everywhere. If you go to TommyMello.com / just TommyMello.com has all my stuff if you scroll down. If you want to get my newsletter, it's free for the first 3 months. I promise you, even if you pay the small fee it costs, I still lose money on it. There's no marketing in it. I mean, no like endorsements. I don't have any sponsors. It's TommyMello.com / news. And if you want to do a shop tour, it's getting better and better. I don't charge anything. I have a blast. It's my way of paying it forward. It's TommyMello.com / shop, SHOP. Come out here, bring a couple managers. I'll answer all your questions. You can make a vacation out of it. And realistically, if you do need something, I'm here to help. I want to help. And a lot of times it's as simple as a quick conversation. I had one on Sunday with a guy, and it was about 15 minutes, and I think his life's going to change. And I think I set him up. It doesn't take long for me to help people. So I really do love to help. I love it when I could just push somebody 5 years ahead. So that's all I got.
Good deal, man. Thanks for all the giving. And listen, take him up on the shop tour. I promise you, you will go back to your own shop and start figuring out how to get it better organized. I know that's what happened to me, but we appreciate it, Tommy. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin.
And that's a wrap for today's episode. And I got to tell you, man, that was pretty awesome. I don't know about you, but I got a lot of notes on that. I got a lot of kind of mindset shift around some things too, right? Hearing his journey of success, kind of taking note of some of the leadership's lessons that he's learned along his journey. A big note I put is about investing in technology and people, right? Like that's super duper important. And one of the other things was raising service standards, right? So, you can raise your price, but you also have to raise your standard. You can't just charge just to charge. You've got to also raise your standards, and such good valuable information. Listen, if you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe to the Freedom Blueprint podcast. Leave a review, which is super important and very helpful to me, and share with a fellow leader who could benefit from the mastering of resilience and leadership. Until then, keep up those high standards and watch your business and leadership transform. This is Justin Deese signing off from the Freedom Blueprint podcast. Stay motivated, stay resilient, and as always, keep crushing it.
You've been listening to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Information is useless if not applied. So take what you've learned and go and implement it. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on social media at Freedom Blueprint for Home Services and hit the website at www.freedomblueprintpodcast.com. See you next time.